Jesus was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." Jesus wept. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him." Next Sunday is known as Passion Sunday. Jesus approaches Jerusalem and approaches all that is going to happen there. But according to St John in his Gospel, Jesus approaches Jerusalem, first of all, to raise Lazarus from the dead. Let's look at a painting to help us reflect on the miracle. It's by Caravaggio, the great Baroque artist. He takes us into the tomb. He takes us into the dark. And there in the darkness, we see the dead white body of Lazarus being brought towards Christ. And as Christ restores Lazarus to life, his mouth is open as he speaks, and his eyes are painted large and darkened with intensity, maybe with grief. We hear in the Gospel that the Lord Jesus wept at the grave of Lazarus. So why did he weep? Here's what Newman says. First of all, he wept from very sympathy with the grief of others. It is the very nature of compassion or sympathy, as the word implies, to rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. We know it is so with men, and God tells us he also is compassionate and full of tender mercy. Jesus wept from spontaneous tenderness. The tears of those surrounding Martha and Mary in their grief touched him at once, just as their miseries and ours had brought him down from heaven. His ear was open to them, and the sound of weeping went at once to his heart. What a beautiful idea. The sound of human weeping was what brought the Son of God down from heaven in the first place. In other words, his ear is always attuned to the sound of us when we are in distress. But this prompts Newman to give us a second reason why Jesus weeps. Newman says, what was it that Jesus was looking at when he wept? He saw visibly displayed before him the victory of death. And he hears Martha approach him and say, "Lord, if you'd been here, my brother would not have died." Those words echo down the ages in the hearts of all those who have seen sin and misery around them, and whether or not they profess to have faith, they have said with Martha, "If you had been here, if you had interfered, it might not have been like this." And his answer to Martha is simply to perform a miracle that reveals what he will do for all humanity by suffering, dying, and conquering death. And this is what prompted the Lord to weep, says Newman. He wept because of the momentous importance of what was about to happen. But there's another reason, given by Newman. He wept because he knew that the good news of his conquest over death was about to be attained at the cost of his suffering and dying. Newman explains it like this. His disciples wanted to dissuade the Lord from going into Judea, lest the Jews should kill him, and their apprehension was fulfilled. He went to raise Lazarus, and the fame of that miracle was the immediate cause of his seizure and crucifixion. This he knew beforehand. He felt that Lazarus was wakening to life at his own sacrifice, that he was descending into the grave which Lazarus left. He felt that Lazarus was to live and he to die. The appearance of things was to be reversed. The feast was to be kept in Martha's house, but the last Passover of sorrow remained for him. And he knew that this reverse was altogether voluntary with him. He was about to raise Lazarus, a single act of mercy, but he was really about to raise all the dead, and not for a time, but for eternity. And so with these thoughts from St John Henry in mind, let us hear the extracts from next Sunday's Gospel, which ushers in the Passion. Now when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is coming into the world. Jesus was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. So the Jews said, See how he loved him. But some of them said, Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man also have kept this man from dying? Then Jesus, deeply moved again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, Take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, by this time there will be a smell, for he has been dead 4 days. Jesus said to her, Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? So they took away the stone. And Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The man who had died came out, his hands and feet bound with linen strips, and his face wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, Unbind him and let him go. Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what he did, believed in him. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. In the 2 weeks that remain of Lent, Newman suggests that we ponder on these words, that we let them touch our hearts, because the Lord of life has entered the grave on our behalf.